Why do people truly fall in love with you? Is it your charm, your actions, or something much deeper beneath the surface? According to Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, love is never random. The people we're drawn to often reflect powerful psychological forces at play, forces rooted in our unconscious mind. Jung believed there are only two core reasons people fall in love with you, and understanding these reasons can completely shift how you see your relationships and yourself. In this video, we'll explore these two hidden truths about love, desire, and human connection, and uncover how Jung's timeless insights reveal not just why others love you, but what you might still need to love in yourself. So, let's begin. Reason 1. The projection of the ideal. Carl Jung once remarked, "We always marry the wrong person," not as a cynical dismissal of love, but as a deep psychological insight. What he meant was that much of what we believe to be love is actually projection of reflection of our unconscious desires cast onto another person. In the beginning stages of love, people often see not who you are, but who they need you to be. They might idealize your confidence, your kindness, your presence, or your mystery. These traits often represent qualities they have lost touch within themselves. In Jungian terms, this is the activation of the anima or animus, a feminine or masculine energy within that seeks completion through another. You become a canvas for their inner world. And love blossoms not from mutual understanding, but from illusion. This projection creates a powerful emotional high. The person in love feels alive, awakened, almost enchanted. They believe they found the one, when in truth, they found a mirror. You reflect back to them a part of themselves that longs for expression. Their admiration of your qualities is actually a longing to reclaim something lost or unacknowledged within. This dynamic can be deeply intoxicating because it feels like home, but it's not a home built on shared foundations. It's a home constructed from fantasy. Jung suggested that this kind of projection is not inherently bad. In fact, it's often unnecessary. It draws people together. It creates the spark. But it must not be mistaken for love. Love that is based on idealization cannot withstand time, conflict, or growth, because what is being loved is not a person, but an image, a psychological placeholder for something the admirer is seeking within. As the relationship progresses, reality begins to emerge. Small disappointments surface. You say something they didn't expect, or act in a way that contradicts their vision. These moments feel like betrayals, not because you've done something wrong, but because you're no longer reflecting their fantasy. Jung called this moment the withdrawal of projection, and it is one of the most painful turning points in any relationship. Here, the illusion dies, and with it, often, the attachment. Unless the individuals involved are willing to see each other as they truly are, messy, complex, contradictory, the relationship begins to collapse. But if they can survive this rupture, something more beautiful may be born, a relationship rooted in truth, not imagination. This process demands maturity. It demands that we acknowledge the parts of ourselves we have projected onto others, and that we take responsibility for our unmet needs and hidden wounds. Only then can we meet the other person as a whole being, rather than a vessel for our inner emptiness. In this way, the first reason people fall in love with you is less about who you are, and more about what you symbolize. You may be the ideal, the healer, the rebel, the nurturer, the adventurer, but none of these are you in totality. And the greatest challenge is to be loved not for the idea of you, but for your real, living self. That is where projection ends and intimacy begins. Reason 2. The reflection of the shadow. Carl Jung believed that we don't just fall in love with people because of what we admire in them, we fall in love because they awaken something hidden within us. This second reason is more complex, more unsettling, and ultimately more transformational. People fall in love with you not just because you represent their ideal, but because you activate their shadow. The shadow, according to Jung, is the part of ourselves we repress or deny. It contains qualities we find unacceptable, dangerous, or simply uncomfortable to acknowledge. It could be aggression, vulnerability, creativity, sensuality, anything that doesn't fit our self-image. But while we suppress the shadow, it doesn't disappear, it waits. And often it reemerges in our relationships. When someone meets you and falls in love, part of what draws them in may be that you reflect something they have buried. They may be outwardly composed but find themselves attracted to your intensity. They may be overly rational but feel pulled toward immunity. They may be controlling but intrigued by your freedom. This pull is not always conscious, and that's what makes it powerful. Falling in love with the shadow is thrilling and terrifying. It promises growth but demands vulnerability. If you embody what someone has exiled within themselves, they may both desire and resent you. One moment, they adore your passion. The next, they criticize your unpredictability. They may idealize you one day and reject you the next, caught in a cycle of projection and resistance. But here lies the gift. When someone loves you because of your connection to their shadow, the relationship becomes a space for psychological healing. You become not just a lover, but a guide into the unknown parts of themselves. And if both partners are willing, this kind of relationship can foster deep self-awareness, transformation, and authenticity. Jung saw this as the path to individuation, the process of becoming whole. Through shadow work, we integrate the denied parts of ourselves. And in doing so, we become more complete. Relationships are not always pleasant on this path, but they are deeply meaningful. They force us to confront who we really are and what we've refused to accept. So if someone falls in love with you for shadow reasons, you may notice the relationship has an edge. It may feel unstable or intense, but also strangely alive. And that's because real love is not always about harmony. It's about truth. And sometimes, the truth is found in our darkest places. What happens next? When love begins with projection or shadow activation, it often feels like magic. Everything clicks. The connection feels destined. But this stage doesn't last forever. At some point, illusion gives way to reality. And this is where most relationships either evolve or break apart. When someone realizes that you're not who they projected, that you're not their savior, their muse, or their missing half, they may feel disillusioned. It can feel like betrayal, not because you lied, but because they were in love with an idea. Similarly, when the shadow you represent becomes too intense, they may begin to withdraw, sabotage, or criticize you. It's not personal. It's psychological. They are fighting the parts of themselves they see in you. This moment, when the fantasy collapses, is crucial. It's the point of awakening. It's the point where love has the potential to become real. But it requires both people to step out of their projections and meet each other honestly. No more roles, no more illusions, just truth. This transition can be painful. Old patterns rise to the surface. Insecurities are exposed. Communication breaks down. But if both partners are willing to grow through it, something extraordinary can happen. The relationship becomes a crucible for self-discovery, a mirror for deeper truths, and a path to genuine intimacy. Carl Jung believed that this is where the real work begins. The end of projection is not the end of love. It is the beginning of love, because love, in its truest form, is not blind. It sees everything and still chooses to stay. In Jungian psychology, the goal of human life is not just happiness, comfort, or success. It is individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. Individuation is the lifelong journey of integrating all parts of the self, the conscious and the unconscious, the light and the shadow, the masculine and feminine entities within. And love, in its most raw and honest form, plays a powerful role in this process. When we enter relationships, we invite someone else into the depths of our psyche. We allow them to see us, challenge us, and unknowingly activate our wounds. The conflicts we face in love are not random. They are invitations. Each trigger, each argument, each misunderstanding is a mirror showing us something unhealed. It's easy to blame the other person, but Jung would ask, what part of yourself is being exposed right now? What do you need to integrate? Real love, therefore, is not about avoiding pain. It's about using pain as a teacher. It's about recognizing when you're projecting, when you're defending, and when you're running. It's about seeing how your patterns repeat, not because the world is cruel, but because your unconscious is trying to get your attention. Over and over again, until you listen. The people we love most deeply are often the ones who force us to grow. They reflect both our brilliance and our brokenness. They push us to face the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. And if we are brave enough to stay, to feel, to speak, to evolve, we begin to change. Not just for them, but for ourselves. Individuation is not a straight path. It's messy. It involves loss, grief, self-doubt, and rebirth. And love is one of the most sacred arenas where this battle plays out. Not every relationship survives it, but every meaningful connection leaves a mark. Every heartbreak teaches you what you need to reclaim. Every partner you've loved has shown you a piece of who you are. So if you find yourself in a relationship that challenges you, that cracks you open, that refuses to stay comfortable, consider this. Maybe that's exactly what you needed. Not to be saved, not to be completed, but to be awakened. At the core of Jung's philosophy is the idea that the ego, or conscious identity, is only a small part of who we are. Most of who we are lies beneath the surface, in the unconscious. When we fall in love, especially deeply and authentically, something radical begins to happen. Our ego is challenged, even dismantled. It is forced to surrender control. Why is this so important? Because true connection does not happen at the level of the ego. The ego seeks power, validation, and control. It wants to be right, to be admired, to be unthreatened. But love is not interested in keeping the ego comfortable. Love wants to strip it down, to humble it, to remind you that you are more than the persona you've built to survive. In this way, the person we fall deeply in love with often becomes our greatest spiritual teacher. They don't just reflect our light or shadow. They reveal the limits of our ego. They show us how attached we are to being seen a certain way, to feeling safe, to avoiding vulnerability. And in doing so, they offer us a choice: cling to the ego, or let go into something deeper. Letting go is terrifying. It means facing rejection, uncertainty, emotional pain. But it's also the gateway to something sacred, genuine intimacy. When people drop the masks and meet soul to soul, what emerges is no longer performance, but presence. No longer negotiation, but communion. Jung believed that this death of the ego is not the end of self, but the beginning of wholeness. It's how we move beyond superficial attraction and step into soulful connection. It's how we stop loving for what we get and start loving for what we see. So if you find yourself in a relationship where you feel like you are being emotionally undone, don't run from it too quickly. Ask yourself, is this pain revealing something true? Is my ego being cracked open so my heart can finally speak? This is the paradox of love. It breaks us in order to heal us. It exposes our wounds in order to cleanse them. And through the death of who we thought we were, we awaken to who we really are. Jung's final message. Carl Jung did not romanticize love. He did not view it as a fairy tale, a perfect ending, or even a goal in itself. For Jung, love was the path, the raw, uncomfortable, illuminating path toward becoming a whole person. And not everyone takes it. Many avoid it. Many stay in surface-level attractions, repeating the same stories again and again. But for those who dare to go deeper, who choose to love not just others, but themselves, transformation awaits. Real love demands everything. It demands you see your projections, face your shadow, question your ego. It demands that you stop asking, "Do they love me?" and start asking, Do I truly see them? Do I truly see myself? Jung's work reminds us that love is not about perfection. It's not about finding the flawless partner or being one. It's about finding someone who awakens your soul and walking with them through the fire of growth. It's about choosing depth over comfort, truth over illusion, wholeness over safety. So when someone falls in love with you, ask yourself, what are they seeing in me? What are they trying to reclaim? And what is this relationship asking me to become? Because in the end, the greatest gift of love is not that someone completes you, but that they challenge you to complete yourself. If you've made it this far, then you're not just interested in love, you're searching for truth. Remember, people may fall in love with you for what they see in you, but the real journey begins when you choose to see yourself fully. Carl Jung believed love isn't about finding someone to complete you, it's about finding someone who reflects the parts of you that are waiting to awaken. So ask yourself, who are you becoming through the people you love? If this video made you reflect, like, share, and subscribe, because this journey inward is just beginning.